Hello everybody, the Lawn Gnome is here. And no, this is not a spoiler, but just so you know, because it happens only 5 minutes into the movie, run for the hills! Voldemort's running MI6! .007, James Bond. It's a name that has been in our pop culture for 50 years when it comes to films. If you have read the books by Ian Fleming, then it's been a little bit longer. We have seen many actors take the helm of James Bond. We've seen many different styles of filmmaking. We've seen many different actors and actresses and plot developments and plot twists. And basically, 50 years later, James Bond is still one of the best movies that is big screen worthy. Now, I will say this. Of course, we're talking about Skyfall, the newest James Bond movie, starring who I would think is probably the best James Bond at this point, Daniel Craig. I am not someone who has a huge collection of Bond films in my collection of DVDs, but I will say one thing about James Bond movies. I go to see these movies on the big screen, and I will probably see them on the big screen only. Even though there have been so many that I had to see on the small screen because I was not alive when they came out in the theaters. But since 1995, when Pierce Brosnan took the helm and I went to see GoldenEye, I have seen every James Bond movie on the big screen. And it's the only way I can enjoy my James Bond experience on the big screen. Everything about this movie, Skyfall, from the opening sequence, to the whole development of the story, to the massive plot twist at the end, which I will not give away, it was, without a doubt, the best James Bond movie ever. And I have seen everything from Dr. No to Goldfinger to Live and Let Die to GoldenEye. This one is the best. It is a toned-down, easy-to-follow story that really hits home with the fans and really hits home with the characters themselves. The cast is phenomenal. Daniel Craig, I don't know why there are these rumors that he hates doing what he's doing as far as playing James Bond and afraid of being typecasted, but Daniel Craig is the greatest James Bond ever, okay? I've seen Sean Connery and Roger Moore, and he's the better one. He's rugged, he's in your face, he's also a human, he's immortal, he walks around hurt, he walks around bitter and bruised and broken. He's not a pretty boy, he doesn't have that pretty boy James Bond swagger that Pierce Brosnan had, and I'm glad that he doesn't, because a super spy is someone that goes out of his way and cheats death in the face. I like the fact that he doesn't rely on gadgets. I like the fact that he relies on his guns and his fists and his intuition. Judi Dench as M, wonderful. This was her best M role ever since she started taking since she started playing M in 1995. She was involved in the story. And I loved Ben Whishaw, who plays the new Q. I liked the fact that he was more a real part of the story, that he was constantly communicating with James. I thought that that was great. I also love the fact that the love interests in the whole James Bond world are really secondary at this point. But of course, the coup de grace, Javier Bardem as the villain. I was not expecting anything less of him. Even though I haven't seen many movies that he's in, I loved No Country for Old Men, but this was definitely one of his better performances. He was just a James Bond villain that I've never seen before. He was a madman. He was insane and very weird at the same time. He reminded me of the Joker to a degree, and I really, really like that, especially in the world of James Bond. And of course, there's a new addition to the world of James Bond. We got Ralph Fiennes in the movie, and when I saw that he was in the opening credits, I was like, oh yes, this is going to be a great movie. The theme song, we really went back to the old school Bond. Adele did a phenomenal job. It sounded like a great James Bond song. I haven't heard a real James Bond feel song in a long time. Sam Mendes, probably the best choice for a director for this movie, as well as Thomas Newman doing the score. I really hope that they do not look to a different director now. I really think that Sam Mendes should continue directing these Bond films, at least until Daniel Craig is officially deciding to retire from his role. But There was so much to enjoy about this movie, and after seeing Quantum of Solace, it was nice to see a little bit more of an easy-to-follow Bond story. But it was great. It was on the edge. It was a white-knuckle, action, comedy-filled Bond movie. And I would say that if you have never seen a James Bond movie, this is the best one to start with. It could be forever the only Bond movie you ever see, and that would be just fine, because it really was an awesome movie. So, Skyfall, 4 out of 4. Comment, like, and subscribe, everybody. And the question that I want to leave with you, because there's a lot of fans of Harry Potter out there, there is not one, but 2 actors in this movie that have appeared in the Harry Potter world. I've already mentioned one, so you obviously know who that is, but who was the second one? I am the Lawn Gnome, and remember that actions speak louder than words.